Welcome to Yury Experience, and today I want to talk about my privilege. Privilege is a really interesting concept. I don't think, and I don't know whether I want to go really deep into privilege and social studies. If you are interested in that, please write a comment below. But today I will scratch on the surface. I will tell you a little bit about privilege, what are my privileges according to some people and according to me, and also whether that concept holds like any weight, so whether that concept does even work in my personal opinion. Before we start, this is Yury Experience. I'm Yury, these are my experiences. I'm talking about different topics, social topics, about self-development, about my experiences, and I do it twice a week, Monday and Thursday. If you will enjoy this video, please drop a like and also subscribe. It will help the channel, it will help you to stay in contact, stay in touch. That is the phrasing. Let's jump to the actual topic. What are privileges? Privileges in social studies, according to my understanding, is an assumption that some group of people, some social group, or people who are in that social groups have more rights than some other group, or more opportunities, or like rights and opportunities that are main topics according to my understanding. And if we are looking on that from scientific perspective, then I have a huge problem with that definition, because depending on the country, on the street, on society, on the maybe some societal group, it will be different. And I hope more and more people will understand it, because I have heard it so many times that people make like some big assumptions, some general assumptions that this group overall is something, has a right to do something, and in that country, maybe, in that city, maybe, in that, I don't know what, university, maybe, but not everywhere else. Because everywhere else may be different. What is normal, what privilege does any group have is different. But even if we are going to narrow it down to some specific context, I still have some problems with this whole concept, and what shall I do with it? I will give you 3 examples of my personal privileges, and I will discuss them from my perspective and also from some general perspective. And at the end I will also tell you my biggest problem with the whole privilege and what people are trying to say about privilege, like privilege, everywhere is privilege. So my first privilege, I am a man. So that is why I can enjoy all of the opportunities and the possibilities that are allowed only to men. I think I do feel safer on the streets that most of the women do. Also, I didn't have any problems with my field of study where I studied. It wasn't something strange. I studied medical physics. It wasn't strange that a man studied medical physics. But to be honest with you, most of the people I know, they didn't tell anything about women studying medical physics either, which is why, although I know there is this opinion, and also this opinion is backed up by some data, that there are problems for women to come in that kind of professions, but I personally didn't experience it. Maybe it was like that prior to now, I don't know. And also there are other perks that I have. It's easier for me to look confident because I'm a big man. I don't need to pay a lot for this monthly thing. For the pets, for the monthly thing, I forgot the name, it's like literally right now, periods pets, I'm sorry. I don't need to pay them, so that I can save money on that, and also some other problems that are connected with the female body and doesn't have anything to do with the male body. But, and now let's start with the but. Although there are so many things that I have, there are a lot of things that women have. For example, on a lot of occasions, women can allow themselves to behave towards men way more aggressively and way more, bad, well, let's call it bad, than I can do. Because I'm a man, I can be hit in the face, and that will be okay, but it is not okay to hit a woman. That is like a common knowledge, right? Women are not expected to carry responsibilities. It is something that is more or less masculine, and it's a different topic, but it is a societal expectation. And women don't have to do that. That's what I have to do. I have to carry responsibility. Doesn't matter whether I want to do it or not. Sometimes it really doesn't matter whether I want to do it or not. And there are also some other things that women don't have to do, I have to do, which are bad for me. Also that opinion that there are a lot of societal expectations on women's bodies, how women's body shall look like. And it's not like men's bodies don't have any expectations at all. You just need to know where to listen, and you will hear them too. There are a lot of expectations for male bodies too, like beard, hair, muscles and whatnot. Everybody has it. It's not only female body problem. It is also a male body problem. Which is why a lot of occasions when people are talking about male versus woman or versus men privilege or female versus male privilege, I don't really get it, because it is there I have something, we have something. They have something bad, we have something bad. It's not that difficult of a concept, in my personal opinion. I don't know. But that is in my opinion and in the countries where I lived. I do acknowledge the fact that in a lot of countries sexism is way worse than in the countries that I lived in, where I would literally say yes, women have less rights than men have. That is something that it's a fact, it's documented, it is written down in laws, which is really bad. Point. That is bad, yeah. It is bad, and I'm sorry that it is like that. I cannot do anything about it, so majorly I cannot do anything about it. I hope it will change, and let's fight for it. But in the countries that I live in Germany, for example, yes, there are some problems that women face. There are also a lot of problems that men face. Maybe I'm like that and I don't see a huge difference, but maybe I'm like that. My second privilege, I am white. And yes, I'm talking about skin color, I'm calling about the societal concept of race, and race is a bad concept, which what I will cover in an independent video. But today, because I am white, let's discuss the fact that I am white/Caucasian. So yes, I am white, and technically I shall feel safer when I'm walking on the streets than any person of color. And I don't like this phrase, person of color, but that's a different topic. I don't know what other perks do I have as a white person, like only because of that. And to be honest with you, in my personal experience, in the countries that I lived in, USA may be the only exception, my ethnicity had more to do with behavior of people towards me than my skin color or my race. I think it is because most of the countries that I lived in have predominantly like one race society. Like even people in Russia, and Russia is really multicultural country. There are not many people who are not looking Caucasian. Like there are different kinds of Caucasian. People from Azerbaijan, which are kind of Middle Eastern, they look differently than people from Moscow, like who were born and raised and like since generations. But still, both of them are kind of white. Like Arabs are not very, very dark. So depends on what Arab we are talking about. But still. And that is why my ethnicity, my nationality had way more to do with how people behave towards me than my skin color, than my race. And there I would kinda even go there, I would kinda even say that yes, I had some privileges, but it also depended on where I am, who I'm talking with, what group of friends I have, what group of people I have there. But yes, at the end of the day, race doesn't have anything to do with me. In my personal opinion and experience. Ethnicity, yes. But even there, like, when I went to the bad part of the city, I was in danger. It doesn't matter that I was white or like that I was Ukrainian or Jew. Like nobody saw that I'm Ukrainian, nobody saw that I'm Jew. People would assume that I'm Russian, for example. So back in Russia or back in Ukraine. And that is why I can say that I would feel safe there. only because I belong there. It is not this thing about my appearance. Yes, in terms of rightfulness of maybe police officers, I don't know. I literally don't know. I would say that maybe police officers in Russia are worse towards people that are not Russians, but I don't have enough experience to say something like that. So USA has a really big problem with race, and I'm not sure totally why, and that is a different topic, and maybe I will cover that in the future too. But most of the other countries, at least the countries that I lived in, like, yes, there are different ethnicities, yes, people will behave differently to you, but also it depends how you behave. Like, if you behave strangely or like aggressively or whatnot, then people will behave towards you also strangely or aggressively or whatnot. And stereotypes are also existing, and it's not something that has to do with privilege, it has to do with other people from your social group, whether you want it or not. And I agree that that's okay, that has something to do with privilege. But again, if we go generally, we can find places, we can find countries where laws are written in such a way that they are not fair, or not fair towards some social groups depending on their racial profile or based on their ethnicity. And that is known. There are a lot of countries. Again, segregation is still a word in different countries, which is why, yes, it does exist in a lot of different countries. That's just not the countries that I lived in. Maybe I'm wrong about that too. Third privilege is social status and money. And this is the privilege that I think is the realest privilege of all that we have. So if you have that privilege. Because in my personal opinion, and that is my personal opinion, social status is something that decides so many things and influences so many things that sometimes everything else doesn't matter. Money is pretty much the same. If you have a lot of money, you can go to a good school. You can live in a place which is very safe. You can move to the place which is very safe. And that is why, yes, I acknowledge. That is a point which I do acknowledge. But if we go more generally, then we need to narrow down in pretty much a lot. I'm kinda okay here, but I would be more or less privileged in Russia. Or I will be not really privileged in USA based on my social status. Or maybe even privileged, I'm not sure actually. Because the status and money and what I have in comparison to everybody else is different based on the country. For Germany, I am a normal person. For Russia, if I would take me right now and like move myself to Russia, I would have pretty high social status and pretty much money, like how much is my salary. If I would move myself to USA, I would think that I am kind of privileged. Yeah. And also it depends whom I'm comparing myself to. Like, do I compare myself to people who don't earn money at all, who don't work? Or do I compare myself to people who are like general population, like what the average person is? It's also like this questions, that's something that I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about privilege. Like, whom should I compare myself to? Because depending on whom I'm comparing myself to, I may be even underprivileged. I'm not privileged at all. And that is why I don't like this topic. So yes, I do have some privileges that some other people don't have. Being it on what opportunities I get because I'm me. And speaking of some laws, maybe that helped me a little bit better than some other people. But the question is following. Even if I do them, if I do have them, what shall I do with it? There are so many people who are blaming privileged people for so many bad things. I am kind of privileged in a lot of ways. What shall I do? Like, I cannot give away my privileges. I cannot become not white. I mean, I can, but that will be a lot of bad things happening. I mean, blackface, not a good thing, for example. I can become not man, but that's not something that I'm interested in. I can give away some of my money, but currently I don't have enough to live in some way of financial stability right now. So I don't have financial stability. How can I give away money? And I agree that some part of that is something about comfort. Yes, I do want to live in some way of some amount of comfort. I don't want to live, I don't know, in a small apartment, 10 quadrat meter or whatnot. But still, I don't get it. I do see one way actually, and my way is to support different communities, to help them, not to donate, but because recently I found out that donation doesn't really help. In a lot of occasions, you need to really you need to resolve the problem. You don't need to just cover what is on the upper layer. You need to go to the roots. So support, different kinds of support and different kinds of education. Like it helps people with education, talk with people, talk about different problems, different issues. But I cannot just cut away a big part of my life, doesn't matter which part of my life, and just say, yeah, so I'm not privileged anymore. I want to reduce my privilege. How can I reduce something that is literally can change if I will move to another city or to another country? What kind of privilege I have depends on these factors, depends on many factors. I can be privileged today and be not privileged tomorrow. That is why I don't like this topic. That is why I don't think that privilege is a good concept to use in different social medias, in different social discussions, because as long as we don't narrow it down, it is nothing that you can actually work with. And if we do narrow it down, at some point it loses its relevance. And even if it doesn't, what shall we do with it? Sometimes I think that people are not really into giving other people more privilege than reducing privilege of the people that do already have it. And I don't understand it. Why shall we drag people down if we can help other people up? And that shall be the point in my personal opinion. But maybe I missed something. You can write in the comments if you have more to say about that. In the end, I will say that yes, in my personal opinion, privilege is a difficult topic, and it's just not something that you can just throw around. And there's this whole idea of white privilege. I don't get it. Even for USA, I don't get it. I would rather say green privilege. That is a combination that I do agree more with. But even there's so... Individuals are way more than social groups. And that is something that social sciences do understand. They will never say something that like white privilege. But individuals don't understand that. Individuals don't understand that only because that person is white doesn't mean that that person is privileged overall. That person is a lot of categories. That person has a lot to that person, not only being white. I don't get it. But yes, that's all with this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please drop a like, and except for that, enjoy this whole week. I see you on Monday. Yeah, on Monday.